Overwatch 2 Season 3 patch notes have been revealed, and this is the biggest set of patch notes we have had since the release of Overwatch 2. Starting with the new map, we have a new control map coming to Overwatch 2. Antarctic Peninsula will be joining the fray of control maps. This is the first control map since 2018 when Blizzard released Busan. So a lot of fans are really excited about finally having a new control map to try out. And now let's get into the big hero changes coming to Overwatch 2 Season 3, starting with general hero updates. The maximum ultimate charge retained from swapping heroes has been reduced from 30% to 25%. So this seems like a hit on the tanks, as tanks were able to get their ultimate charge pretty high up, switch off the tank if it wasn't going well, and still have 30% of their new tank's ultimate ready. The tank role passive will also be changing in non-role queue games, such as Mystery Heroes and any other arcade game. All of the tank's health will be reduced by 150 health in non-role queue games. Let's move on to Junker Queen. Junker Queen's base health has been increased by 25 from 425 to 450 in role queue modes, so a little bit of extra survivability for Junker Queen. Orisa's autos, augmented fusion driver. The damage fall-off range has been reduced from 25 to 15 meters, so her mid-range damage has been reduced a lot, and Orisa will have to be much closer to get that full-on headshot damage. Next up is Ramatra. Ramatra is receiving changes to his ultimate, Annihilation. Annihilation being on an indefinite cooldown if somebody is in the range was a little bit too strong, and so they're changing it to where damaging enemies with the ultimate now slows the duration timer down instead of pausing it entirely. The ultimate now lasts up for 20 seconds and the minimum of 3 seconds. And his ultimate cost has been increased by a slight 12%, so a little bit longer to get that Annihilation ready and going. Moving on to Reinhardt. Reinhardt is one of the two big tank changes coming this patch. His charge cooldown has been reduced from 8 to 7 seconds, so a little bit more freedom in his charging ability. This is the big one. Fire Strike damage has been increased from 90 to 100, and you know that he has 2 charges of it, so Fire Strike can now kill a 200 HP enemy with both of them. Earth Shatter. Earth Shatter will be getting some shifts. The direct hit damage has been reduced from 250 to 170, so no more being able to one-shot a 200 HP hero, but the knockdown duration has been increased from 2.5 to 2.75 seconds, so his ult will be lasting a little bit longer and your team will be able to capitalize it on a little bit better. And with these changes, his Earth Shatter ultimate cost has been increased by 7%. And his autos, Rocket Hammer, the knockback impulse has been reduced from 10 to 6, so that the enemies can still stay in Reinhardt's Rocket Hammer's AoE. Moving on to ROADHOG. ROADHOG already received a lot of nerfs in the mid-season update, and so this is a slight buff. His whole hog will be getting a buff. The maximum duration has been increased from 6 to 8 seconds, so a little bit more time in his whole hog to be able to cast his other abilities. And with the 2-second duration, his ultimate cost has been increased by 8%. Sigma. Sigma is receiving tiny little nerf. His Gravitive Flux, his ultimate cost has been increased by 7%. Up next is Winston, everybody's favorite monk. He'll be receiving a slight nerf to his Barrier Projector, health reduced from 700 to 650 on his shield. And moving on to Wrecking Ball, the biggest tank change in Season 3 so far. Wrecking Ball has had his health modified to become a new set of health. Wrecking Ball now has 450 base health instead of 600, but that 150 base health has been transformed into temporary shields. So his shield health has been increased from 0 to 150. So Wrecking Ball is now 450 white health, 150 temporary shields, and 100 armor. This 150 temporary shield will definitely help them be able to regain some of that passive health instead of having to run around the map searching for health packs. And that's not all. His Pile Driver cooldown has been reduced from 10 to 8 seconds, so Wrecking Ball has a lot more initiation, control, and power with his Pile Drive cooldown reduced. And his Minefield, the ultimate cost has been increased by 9%, but the arming time has been reduced from 1.5 to 1 second. So once Wrecking Ball releases those mines, they will be activated once they hit the floor instead of having a little bit of wind-up time. And finally, Zarya. Zarya's Graviton Surge ultimate cost has been increased by 8%. And moving on to the DPS role. Our first DPS looking at some changes is Cassidy. Cassidy's combat role is getting a buff. Movement is no longer blocked by enemy player collision. He can now roll through enemies instead of being stopped by them, which is a great buff for Cassidy. And his Peacekeeper, the primary fall-off range has been increased from 20 to 25 meters. So Cassidy has a lot better mid-range gameplay with that 5-meter fall-off range increase. Moving on to Junkrat. Junkrat has definitely been an oppressive DPS in Overwatch 2 Season 2, so they're looking at minimizing his damage. and they're doing that with his Concussion Mine. Concussion Mine's maximum damage has been reduced from 120 to 100, so you're really gonna have to aim these Concussion Mines to make sure you're getting a direct hit on the enemy. And we're gonna go quick through these ultimate cost and reduction changes, so let's get right into them, starting with Mei. Blizzard, ultimate cost has been reduced by 5%. Pharah, ultimate cost Barrage has been reduced by 5%. Reaper, Death Blossom, ultimate cost reduced by 8%. Symmetra, Photon Barrier, ultimate cost increased by 10%. And moving on to the bigger changes, Soldier 76 has had his autos changed. Number of shots to reach maximum recoil increased from 4 to 6, and recoil reduced from 12%. This is an insane buff to Soldier, especially for Soldier mains. As most soldiers know, you don't hold down to shoot, you shoot in burst. And so being able to shoot in a burst of 6 instead of a burst of 4 will definitely help him out in that long range fight, especially with the recoil reduction. Sombra is receiving some changes as well. She has definitely been underperforming this season after her last round of nerfs, so they are buffing her. Her machine pistol damage per projectile has been increased from 7 to 7.5, and her health pack hack duration increased from 30 to 45 seconds. So you're going to be able to have those hacked health packs a little bit longer to deny enemies those health packs. Torbjorn's deployed turret. The turret base health has been reduced from 250 to 225, so slight nerf to the Torb turret. And Widowmaker has had her base health reduced from 200 to 175, becoming one of the squishier DPS besides Tracer. And moving on to support role, Ana. The biotic grenade effect duration has been reduced from 4 to 3.5 seconds, so you'll be purpled for 3.5 seconds instead of 4. Brigette's repair pack is getting some changes. Healing over time has been reduced from 55 to 50 per second, so a total of 100 from 110, but applying a repair pack now instantly heals 25 health on impact, so it is a net buff from a 110 healing to a 125 healing. And her ultimate Rally has had his ultimate cost reduced by 10%. Lucio's had his ultimate cost reduced by 7%. And moving on to one of the biggest support changes, Mercy. Mercy will be receiving a lot of changes regarding multiple aspects of her kit. The first one is Guardian Angel. The cooldown has been increased from 1.5 to 2.5 seconds. This is probably the biggest change for Mercy, as she will not be able to fly around every 1.5 seconds. She will be easier to hit instead of being able to fly around the map because she will have a longer cooldown. And holding the backwards directional input and canceling the ability with jump now moves 20% slower, so a backwards Guardian Angel won't be as effective. Her healing. Mercy's healing has been shifted. Healing per second has been reduced from 55 to 45 per second, but healing is increased by 50% for allies under half health. So under half health, you will be healing 67.5 healing per second instead of the usual 45. So it's a net buff / shift for Mercy's healing. And Mercy's passive has been shifted and changed. Her regeneration passive has been removed, and her new passive, Sympathetic Recovery. Mercy now heals herself for 25% of the healing done with her healing staff. This is actually a really interesting change because when she ults, Mercy can heal multiple enemies at a time while also healing herself. She is now able to become a mini tank during her ult, so be on the lookout for this new passive to look pretty crazy during team fights. Moving on to Moira. Moira's ultimate has been reduced by 5%, and the final hero change coming to Season 3 is Zenyatta. He has had his ammo increased from 20 to 25. Those are all of the hero changes coming to Season 3, but what about the map pools? Well, Overwatch confirmed that in Season 4, map pools will be removed, and every map will be available on Season 4 and moving forward. So let's look at the final map pools in Season 3. Coliseum will be having a new time of day in the morning. For Hybrid, we will be losing Eichenwald and adding Numbani, which has been an incredibly hyped up map for a long time. Numbani being one of the most popular Overwatch 1 maps, and it has not been featured in Overwatch 2, it's finally having its time to shine. Escort will be adding Havana, who has not had its time to shine in Overwatch 2 yet, with a new time of day during the night. And the map they will be removing from the Escort pool is Route 66. And moving on to Control, they will be removing Busan and adding the all-new map Antarctic Peninsula during the night. Those are all of the main changes coming to Overwatch 2 Season 3. What are you looking forward to during Overwatch 2 Season 3? And what changes are you most looking forward to try out? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.